It's good to have y'all again. We're excited to be back for another show. So, of course, if you know and have been following us on the Profit Formula, we're always going to bring guests on here who talk about business. We could be talking about other things, but at the bottom line, we're talking about the bottom line.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what type of organization we're talking about, you have to be profitable in order to be sustainable.
That's it.
To keep it going. You're either a nonprofit, church, school, right? You got to be producing profits.
No money will close the doors.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly. Absolutely. So we're excited today. Before we even go any further, make sure you subscribe, like, right, and share this with somebody else because they're going to get some great benefit out of what we're going to share today because we talk about strategic planning, and I'm excited about our guest today, James Pedersen. Give you a quick bio, then we're going to jump into the great conversation with James. All right? Does that work?
That works.
Let's do it. All right, so today on the Profit Formula, we're talking to James Pedersen. He spent 20 years as an accountant and finance professional providing accounting and financial services in the corporate and private sectors. He has experience servicing both clients publicly traded and private companies through his work experience with public accounting firms Deloitte and Ernst Young. Of course, used to be the Big Six, then it was the Big Five, now it's the Big Four. So it's still Deloitte and Ernst Young are still part of the Big Four.
Still got PwC and KPMG as well.
Right. So, but y'all, those two at least still standing, right? So in addition, James has also served as the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, for Essex County Community College, providing leadership, financial management for the college. James earned a bachelor's degree in economics from Rutgers and earned a master's degree in accounting from the Keller Graduate School of Management. James is also a certified public accountant, CPA, in the state of New Jersey. Well, James,
Yes.
it's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So you've had a very storied career, looks like, in the financial service and accounting. So give us your experiences kind of coming through that path, and what are some things you learned being in the accounting and financial services industry?
Well, I always joke around and tell people I don't think there's anything I haven't touched in the world of accounting.
Wow.
Okay.
Even taxes, it's not showing up, but I had a brief stint where I did some taxes for a boutique firm in New York as well. So my journey through accounting actually started way back in high school when I took my first accounting class.
Okay. So you kind of got bit by the accounting bug. At that
Yeah, because when you have that class, it doesn't seem like work.
Yeah.
Like
Right,
it's like I'm like tuned
You
in,
enjoy
like
it, yeah.
this is good. And I joke around with people. Before then, my original plan was to become an architect because I used to draw a lot.
Oh, wow.
And I used to like structures, whatever. So then I looked at it. But then when I took that class, I was like, it's helping me actually understand, money and business a little better.
So all the light bulbs started going.
It started
off.
going, this. So I was like, yeah, this is the thing I think I want to try out.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So then that's kind of like, that actually was the seed that started, my journey to go on and embark on my career. So the interesting thing is I didn't do what they call the traditional route.
Okay.
I went into what they call industry, basically working for corporations first. Instead of going into the normal traditional route would be you try to join one of the big four firms, work your way up there, and then either you stay and become a partner or you leave and, you go into the industry then.
Gotcha.
So I did it the reverse because, truth be told, when I was coming out of college, I still had thoughts that maybe I can get a contract playing football.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So you had that dream alive.
Doing that and then trying to work at a big four accounting firm, you couldn't do
It
it.
gonna happen, right?
So
that's actually a good, just background, right? Talk a little bit about that. So Paul's a former, college football quarterback, right? And so, James also played some football. What position did you play?
I played cornerback, so I would have been the one trying to make your life difficult.
Trying to. Absolutely.
So we got a little competition here on Profit Formula Podcast.
We got a parking lot out there.
I feel
some routes.
Hey, you know what? I gotta do is stretch a little bit. Give me some time to stretch.
There you go.
You weren't supposed to say yes. Leave it right there.
Yeah. Now you need somebody to catch the ball,
Right.
And I actually play wide receiver. So
There we go.
Well, need someone to attempt to catch the ball.
Right.
There you go. And so yeah, man. It's interesting because you think about that journey, and football is a passion of yours. Even to this day, we see he representing the Falcons. We're gonna do it this year. I'm not sure about the decisions that we're making, but we'll talk about that on his podcast. But talk a little bit about, your journey through football. Like, so you talked about, you took that accounting class, but you still have football as kind of a, thing in your mind that potentially could happen. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the interesting thing is football in college actually gave me structure because I didn't start playing till like my third year.
Okay.
Wow.
So, you're doing a college student life, you're going to parties, going to class, mostly.
Right.
But then once I started playing football, it actually gave me more structure. There was less partying. There was more, having a structured day. Where I'm going to the stadium, I'm going to the weight room, work out. If it's during football season, you're watching film, getting ready for practice. Yeah. You're squeezing class in there at some point. Right. They made you eat, so it wasn't like I could avoid meals. They're like, hey, you got to eat because, some people got to meet certain weights. Right. Either you got to go up or you got to come down, you know. So I think what football did was give me that structure, but more so it helped build what I can take throughout my journey in life because it gave me a work ethic because, time management was a big thing. Yeah. Because you had class, you got homework, you got football. Right. And then you're still trying to have a social life. Mm-hmm. Right. So you're trying to juggle all of this. And what's interesting is I became better at it than what I was before playing football when I had more free time. Right. So it was interesting that it worked that way. I became better at time management when I had less time. Right. But maybe that was a reason why.
Right. It's that discipline, right?
Yeah. So what made you start playing your third year of college?
It's a really interesting story because, when me and my friends, we used to play football at the park. Okay. And we used to play like real tackle football, 11 on 11. We used to have that many people. Gotcha. And, I used to be one of the guys that were one of the better guys out there. Right. When you're trying to pick people, I was always number one or number two. You pick. Right. So, and we used to play with people who were actually like good. Yeah. Like who had all state, all county accolades in high school. So it wasn't like we were just playing with regular people. But to me, it was one of those things where it's like I'm playing against these people, but I'm like, I'm giving them that work. Yeah. And they knew it. Right. And it's one of those things where it came down to two. Actually, I can talk about two plays. It might sound bad, but it's what sparked it. Yeah. It was this one guy, very athletic, 6 foot, 210. He was more of a basketball player though. He loved basketball. Yeah. But he was like all muscle. Gotcha. And he came to play with us one Saturday. And he was giving us the work too. Right. So me and him was going back and forth. Right. And then one time, they tossed him the ball. He ran down the sideline. I'm on the other side of the field. Mm-hmm. I did that angle pursuit. Ooh. And we played like on a real football field where they had like lines in the parking area. Right. I kid you not, 50 yards down the field, I caught him at the 5-yard line. I hit him so hard, to this day, he still claims it was somebody else that hit him.
Right. He knocked the memory out of his head.
Literally. He's like when I hit him, we both flew 5 yards out of bounds.
Wow. So I hope you're watching this podcast. and when you're telling your friends that story, now they know who actually hit him.
And but you know when you hit somebody because I'm in the midst of it. Boom, I'm not feeling it, but all you hear is ooh. Right. And then I kid you not, I saw his eyes roll in the back of his head.
Oh. Wow.
So then he shook his head and then he kind of walked back. His day was done.
Right.
So
he went back to basketball.
Yeah. But then there was another time we played and there was this other guy. He's like a stocky guy. He's like 5'9", 210. Yeah. So kind of stocky. He was just jarring the whole game. And he was backing it up. He had people afraid of him because he was playing fullback, lead blocking, knocking people out the way. And then he played linebacker. Wow. So he wasn't able to tackle me, but he was giving people the business. So he kept talking and talking and talking. And then one play, it was a 4th and goal on a goal line. And they decided that, because we stopped them 3 plays in a row.
Right.
So this play, they snapped the ball. I'm standing like in the middle. I see the whole thing. It's like it parted like the Red Sea. Right. And they handed him the ball, and I just shot. And people said that hit was so hard, it sounded like we had pads on.
Wow.
That guy stopped talking for the rest of the game. Right. So it literally was these times when we played, and I was like, it really hit me. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do this because it's like, if I'm doing this against these people who are, great in their own right, why not?
Right.
It's interesting because you're telling the story, and I know you, so I've known you for a while. So, and you give the size of these guys. How big were you then? Because obviously,
I think my college playing weight was I was 5'7", 175.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Huge,
which it just goes to show you that it's not size so much as it is technique and heart, right? So
but even in college, my DB coach, we used to watch the film and practice, and he would say, "Look, the smallest guy on the field is trying to make all the tackles." Because that was my thing. It was like I just like I like to hit and tackle people.
Right. In other words, I'm crazy.
like Bobby Boucher.
right. There you go. And so, and I think that's important because, understanding your focus, right? Mm-hmm. And as you talked about, football gave you structure, gave you work ethic. You started to really kind of develop some things. So you go from, not only being passionate about something that you enjoy, but then pursuing it, as part of your purpose potentially, but then it leads you where? So you go from football, you realize, okay, cool, I'm jumping to the financial world, and now my football days are behind me. How do you start to take those same sort of discipline, focused skills and then put them into your work?
Well, because the one thing is I learned how to basically, which is interesting, we're talking about strategic planning.
Yeah.
Football required planning because at the end of the day, I was a walk-on.
Yeah.
So I had to now talk to my coach and said, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
He even told me, he said, look, it's going to be hard for you.
Yeah.
Right.
He said, in practice to start, you probably going to get 3 chances on the field.
Wow.
Right.
But out of those 3 chances, you got to do something. You got to open our eyes.
Right.
And he said, look, and I know it's not even, it puts you behind an 8 ball because you can't get better in 3 plays.
Yeah.
He said the first team people, they're going to get like 10, 15.
Yeah.
That's going to allow them to get better. The second team people are going to get about 5 to 10.
Right.
That's going to allow them to get better. You're going to get 3.
Right.
He said, but you got to develop your plan and say, in these 3 plays, I got to make the most of it.
Right.
And it's like when you think about it, it was like understanding how to maneuver yourself to say, now I'm on the field, I got to make sure I'm learning everything so I can make the best play possible in one out of these 3 reps.
Absolutely.
In one of these 3 reps, I got to do something. Like, something got to stand out.
Right.
So what can I do to stand out? That's why I say I love to hit.
Yeah.
At least seeing a 5'7", 175 pounds cornerback coming up the hit, a 220 pound running back.
Right.
That's going to stand out. I don't got to knock him out. I just got to make the tackle.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And they see this little guy is not afraid to go up against these big guys.
Yeah.
So I took that, and then to your point, once I decided my body wasn't going to hold up enough, the NFL, the scouts, they told me at our pro day, it's like you're damaged goods. Because they read my medical report from the school. I didn't even know. They had listed me as having like a loose shoulder.
Okay.
Now, I had a shoulder injury in high school, but I didn't think it was anything severe.
Right.
But apparently when the NFL came and they did their whole little tweaking and looking at my body, it's your left shoulder's loose.
Wow.
I was like, how? So literally I was labeled damaged goods from the start.
Wow.
And it's like, look, if you want a contract, and I never really played any special teams in college. So it's like, look, you're going to have to find some way to play special teams. And get some of that. That's why I tried to play semi-pro minor league football and focus more on special teams.
Got it.
But then I kept getting hurt there. I'm like, I'm even more damaged now.
Right. Yeah.
So I got to a point, I'm like 24, 25.
It was time to move.
All right, I'm undersized, I'm damaged. This is not going to work. So
Time for career change.
I developed the next plan.
Yeah.
Now focus on this route.
Yep.
And then my next plan was, all right, so what's the goal, right?
Yeah.
The goal was, all right, I want to be able to, the next goal was get my CPA license.
Yeah.
Right.
But I needed experience, and first of all, I needed more accounting credits.
Right.
So the first thing I did, because I learned when I was at Rutgers by working in work study jobs, if you work for a college, you can go there for free.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I decided to work for DeVry University.
Got you.
Because the Keller Graduate School of Management is their graduate school.
Right.
So I went there to work full time for the specific goal to say, I don't want to pay for my master's degree.
Right.
That was literally the plan. That's the
right.
reason why I went to work there.
That's smart, man. You're talking about being strategic, right? And so I think when you develop a roadmap and you stick to it, right, and you say, okay, man, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm gonna get there, and you got to count the costs, right? And when you count the costs and you start looking for ways that you can do it that's affordable, right? And it's the same thing in business, right? Everything doesn't have to, we always hear the term, and maybe we can start shifting into this. We always hear the term, it takes money to make money, right? Like I remember my whole life growing up, I would hear people say that. And the two things that was always common about the people that I heard say that, they never had any money and they was never making any.
But you know what I say? I said, yeah, it takes money to make money, but whose money are you going to spend?
Right. So, and that's the thing.
Exactly right.
And
my whole thing was when they came to college, I wasn't.
Right.
My whole thing is, if you require this from me,
right,
why do I have to pay for it?
Yep.
Right. That was my mindset back then.
And that's where I was going with it, because it took money so that you can get your degree, but you use somebody else's money. But you learn how to get access to the money. Most of the time when people say it takes money to make money, they're not looking for access, right? They're not pursuing the opportunities in a way that says, how do I bring the money to me? How do I get it? Because typically what you're saying is you don't have it, right? And being in business for as long as I have and talking with people, that's always the thing. Like, well, man, if I could just get the money to do this, if I could just get the money to do this. And you always hear these stories about people who came to the United States with $4 in their pocket and all of a sudden, So we know that that's not an accurate, statement if it's not followed up with the action or activity such as yourself to say, okay, this is how I can do it, right? You didn't say, okay, I'm going to mom, I'm gonna ask mom to write a check so I can go, get my graduate degree. So doing that and then pursuing accounting, you talked about, at first you thought about being an architect. As you made that decision once you got into college, did you go to college and say, man, I'm going in, I'm just focused on this, or did you start the architectural route, or what was the process of that?
The interesting thing is I got into economics first,
okay,
because that intrigued me. Now I'm learning about the economy, the world economy, domestic economy. So now I'm learning beyond just, let's say, a corporate business to a country as a business.
Right.
And kind of learning how to understand, because then that became intriguing, understanding GDP, understanding the basis of supply and demand, how that literally controls everything.
Wow.
So it's like I didn't even go the full accounting route my bachelor's, because now this economics thing is intriguing me. So I'm like, wow, this is really, really interesting.
Man.
Yeah.
Which I think is key too, right? Because you are learning different things and almost like stacking that learning.
Yeah.
Right. Some people, and we were talking earlier, right? You didn't take a traditional route, right? So even if I like accounting, doesn't mean I have to become maybe an accountant, right? Or go the traditional route. You did accounting, you did economics, you like architecture, sports, right? So all that is really helping to build, because you are learning something at each of those stops along the way, right? That you were incorporating into what you were doing.
Yeah, it's funny. People used to joke around and say I'm a Renaissance man.
Right.
Because they're like, what haven't you done?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know. I'm still doing it.
I'm still doing it.
I said, I'll let you know when I get to
what
the
else
end.
is there? Right.
Yeah.
What else can I can figure out?
And that's the thing, man, because I think sometimes, I think as people, we think we have to focus on this one thing to know exactly what it is that we're going to do, right?
Because you can learn from everything. Well, you should learn from everything. You should always kind of glean from this, because to your point, there's something I could take from it. Because even in economics, one of my favorite classes was money and banking. I literally learned the monetary system. I understood how currencies can affect the economy. I understood how the inverse, well, it's not inverted right now, the inverse relationship of interest rates and inflation, and how the Federal Reserve, who's not an actual federal agency,
No, it's not.
how they we can definitely have that on another day. How they use those metrics to kind of control whether we're going to be in a recession or whether you need to slow down the economy because you're at your peak and you need to kind of taper it down because inflation is going to pop off, or whether you're at the trough is what they call it, where you're at the bottom of the recession where now you need to start getting back up to where you're getting at a normal state. That was one of my favorite classes because I really learned a lot, to where I was actually now watching TV, like and all those different channels and understanding exactly what they're saying. Like even now, I know we're in a bad situation because
Right.
interest rates and inflation is both not supposed to be high.
Right.
But I learned that almost 30 years ago
Yeah.
that's not a good.
Right.
You moving straight to stagflation basically is what I was saying,
Right.
which is not something we want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
We can talk about that another day.
No, we can have you back. We can have a whole session. Actually, our last show
Yeah.
kind of started hitting on it. Basically, just world events, how it's impacting
And that one
the
is
economy.
playing right now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Drop some-
But if you think about it, but when you understand that, you understand how that flows into business.
Yeah.
Because part of your cost monitoring is
Right.
these type of things. Like
Right.
we have it right now.
Yeah.
Inflation is going to drive up your input costs, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you don't have your strategic plan that should be flexible,
Yeah.
Right.
you're not going to be able to understand how to maneuver when you're seeing forecasting. We're in a very tough moment right now.
Right.
It can get tougher.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to kind of pull things back or to
Right.
strategize
Right.
to adjust our forecast so
Right.
that it don't hit us all at once and we're prepared for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm trying to get ahead of the curve versus
Right.
just
Instead
being a
of
victim
you want to be
of what's
proactive
happening.
instead of reactive.
Yeah.
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 You know, it's interesting that you say that because I think a lot of times, especially with young businesses, right, they are more reactive than proactive. Talk a little bit about, as we talk about strategic planning, like foundational strategy, right? So what's the importance of I'm starting a business, or maybe I'm year 5, right? But I hadn't really found my, my client base and I'm getting some business, that kind of thing, but I really haven't established a foundation or strategy. What would be the starting point, or what would you recommend from a financial standpoint, in looking at setting goals, real objectives, and that type of thing?
Well, you just pointed it out.
Yeah.
I would tell them to take a step back. What's your goal?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people they'll put a goal out there.
Right.
But they don't really deconstruct it to say, is this the real goal for what I want to do?
Right.
Because everyone's goal is, I just want to make a lot of money.
Right.
That's the end result.
Right.
Yes. And that's not going to usually be your mission statement
Yeah,
in your
exactly.
strategic planning.
Yeah.
Your mission statement should be, do you have a passion for what you do? First of all,
Right,
I would say, do you even like what you're doing?
Right.
Because if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to make money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What's your why? Right? Why'd you start it?
What's your why? Because
Yeah.
once you find your why, then you start building. That's what I was telling when I was saying off camera.
Yeah.
You got your strategic plan, you got your operational plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Your operational plan is going to be all the inputs and stuff you're going to do to reach this strategic
Right.
plan, which
Right.
is working off your goal.
Yeah.
Like, for example, let's do the simple example. I give them a simple example. Like, your family wants to go on vacation, right?
Right.
Your strategic plan is going to dictate where,
Right.
the why and where.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to a beach? Do you want to go to like Disney World, which is an amusement park?
Right.
Do you want to travel internationally?
Yeah.
Which one is it? If you say, "Well, I want all 3," you don't gotta go right now.
Right.
Right.
Right?
Some ideas.
You got some ideas.
Right.
Now let's now work
it out.
on
Right.
kind of like mirroring it down to say,
Yeah.
what do you think is the best route for what you want to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You might say, you know what? I want to travel internationally. Never did it. Okay, cool. Strategic plan. Travel internationally. What's the destination?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Now
Yeah.
you got to take the next step.
Right.
Go travel internationally. Now, what's the destination? This is still the strategic plan because you still got to figure out where.
Yeah.
You might say, you know what? I want to go to Italy. All right, now we got the destination.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got the goal. The mission statement is I want to travel internationally. The goal is get to Italy.
Right.
Now, operationally, how do we get there?
Yeah.
Right? You got to look at the cost. You got to look at all the logistics.
Right.
You got to even go search for the best pricing.
Right.
What you want to do when you get there.
Yeah.
Because it's just
Yeah.
getting to the country. What part? Rome, Venice? Or do you want to do a tour of all Venice,
Right.
Florence, and Rome?
Right.
You know, and then you start building the logistics around
Spoken like somebody who's gone to Italy.
it. You know, but that's what I mean.
It's like a subtle
Right.
flex.
Right.
And then now you got to forecast how you going to generate
Right.
the income
Right.
To get there.
to
Right.
get
Right.
there.
Yeah.
And now you got to picture that out.
Yeah.
You got to budget that.
Yeah.
How I'm going to budget getting this income to reach this goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then who do you got to incorporate?
Right.
Yeah.
Who's going to be
Be
part of your
involved in it.
team?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If
Right.
it's your family, you get your wife to start doing some research on the itinerary.
Right.
You say, I'm going to research the flights and hotels.
Yeah.
if you got the kids, tell the kids, y'all start researching what you may like to do.
Right.
When you get there.
You know,
right.
combine with mom. Mom is
Yeah.
going to look at the itinerary, tell her some of the things you might want to do to see it can be part of this itinerary package.
Yeah.
Then when y'all
Unless
put
you're my kids, you just gonna do what we decide you're gonna do when you get there.
like you don't have no say. But then once you do all that, you still got to say, well, how much all this going to cost?
Yeah.
Right.
And then you start planning on how you're going to pay for it.
Right.
Then you got to start planning on how you're going to get the money to pay for it.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you
all the steps.
all the steps. Now, if you turn that into a business, of course, you're going to have your mission, your goal,
Yep.
and then your operational planning.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to generate revenue. Let's say one of your goals is I want to generate $1 million in revenue in 2 years.
Yeah.
All right. What is it going to cost to generate that?
Yeah.
Right.
How are you going to get to that point?
Yeah.
What's going to be your inputs?
Yeah.
These are things you got to start thinking about. What's going to be the cost of the inputs today? What's going to be the cost of the inputs next year?
Yeah.
What's going to be the cost of the inputs 4 years from now?
Yeah.
Right.
You got to project all this out because you can generate $1 million in 2 years, but if your cost was $1.5 million,
Right.
what did you? I mean, they say in your first 3 years you shouldn't expect to turn a profit, but you can try.
Yeah.
But your planning should even let you know, okay, I'm gonna be down half a mil by year 2.
Right.
But your plan should show by year 4 we've turned this thing around.
Yeah.
But if you're not even planning that, you'll be down half a mil by year 2 and saying nothing's really working, then you might give up.
You know, as you talk about that, it leads me to another question because I think in the strategic planning, one of the things that people don't look at is business valuation, right? And really understanding what that means when you are pursuing investors, right? And you trying to put together a portfolio, but you didn't do the foundational work up front, right? So that you can make sure that your P&Ls and your numbers look solid because a lot of businesses spend a lot of times writing off or writing down things or making things look a certain way. Talk a little bit about if you are pursuing investment capital, I mean, you have that background, what are some of the things you should start thinking about up front in terms of putting together a portfolio as part of your, strategic plan?
But I mean, you already said the first part.
Yeah.
Most investors going to want to say, look, let me see your projections.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me see what's your marketing plan. Have you decided what's the best location for your business?
Yeah.
What's the competition in that area?
Yeah.
Because in the strategic planning, y'all heard of, I don't want to say SWOT, it's SWOT.
Yeah.
Strength, weaknesses,
Opportunities,
opportunities, threats. If you use that model, and actually today people have created literally AI templates for all this stuff.
Yeah.
now.
Right.
But if you use that model, investors want to see that as well because you know what? They know you've done your due diligence.
Right.
What are the threats out there that can threaten your ability to make these projections?
Yeah.
Right.
What are the opportunities you've identified that's going to help you reach these projections and more?
Yeah.
And if you've gone through all these analysis, they'll look at it and say, okay, they have a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what people fail to realize is one of the biggest things investors want to know, how much are you invested?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And most people want to see, I hope, whatever you ask me for, I hope you got at least 20% of that.
Right.
I don't know why 20% is the benchmark for
Right,
everything,
right.
but
Right.
people usually
Right,
say
right.
15, 20%.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's a baseline to say that you are invested.
Right.
So that's one of the bigger things.
Yeah.
It's like you can say you don't have no money, and a lot of times you might start out that way.
Right.
But usually when you starting to go get more investment from maybe people that's outside of your circle,
Right. Yeah.
those other people that don't know you, they want to see just how much invested are you, how much invested capital you've invested into.
Yeah.
Whether even if it's just assets, money, assets, whatever. What did you invest? Because if you didn't really invest anything, I can't take that seriously. That's how a lot of people would think.
Yeah.
Right.
And another interesting point as we talking about that, because I think, and you said it, but I want to kind of draw it out a little bit. We talk about income, business revenue, right, versus profit, because a lot of people, they'll say, man, I want to, I did $20 million in business, right? I did $40 million in
But
business.
what did it cost you?
Right. And so at the end of the day, that's why I like watching Shark Tank sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you throw this big number out and then they say, okay, well, but how much did you make? Right. And it's like, well, I
But
lost.
that's that statement of what's your bottom line.
Right. And so to your point, talk about that, because I think a lot of people chase that number versus really understanding chasing profit, and how should they start to calculate what their margins are. Like, what would you say about that? And I know it's based on the type of business, but yeah.
I mean, well, if you want to just even do the general margins that people tend to use, you have your gross margin, right? Which is basically your revenue minus your cost of sales.
Yep.
That's the first one you want to see because that's the direct inputs that generate revenue.
Right.
Then you want to see what your operating margin is.
Yep.
So that's the rest of your costs, you know, like they say, salary, wages, benefits, general administration,
right?
Any of the other stuff that comes next.
Yep.
Then you get to your operating margin because then that's telling you all your inputs to run your business, not just generating the revenue, but everything that costs to run the business.
Yeah.
Right.
This is your operating margin. Now, they usually say a healthy margin, you want to try to be between 10, 20%. And if you go higher than, once again, that 20%.
Right.
If you go higher than 20%, it's great. Yeah. But they say, you know, 10, 20%, if you're in that range, you know, that's you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Even from a gross or operating margin. Right. Now, once you go below operating margin, that's all the other stuff that's not truly business input related, but it still costs you're incurring.
Yeah.
And that's how you get down to your, even like, once you factor in your taxes.
Right.
That's when you get down to your bottom line, which is the net profit. Net of everything that it cost you. Your revenue minus every last cost that came in. This is your net profit.
Yeah.
Now, the thing to your point is this. I always tell people, I usually talk to people from personal finance as well.
Yeah.
Because they always think from an income mindset as well. And I always tell people, you don't want to think income revenue. You want to think, I tell them net profit in the business world. You want to, or no, I say you want to think shareholder value in the business world.
Right.
You want to think net worth from a personal standpoint.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much telling you how much you're growing your finances, basically. So when you have your net profit, the next thing you're supposed to be doing is you don't go and spend it erroneously.
Right.
Part of your strategic plan should already say how much you're going to retain it and how much you're going to invest back into the business.
Right.
That should be part of your strategic planning because if you're planning out 5 years, if you say year 3, 4, and 5, I'm going to make this much net profit.
Right.
By year 4, I'm looking to grow revenue by another 5%.
Yeah.
Right.
That means I'm going to have to invest this much of the net profit back into the business, whether it's acquiring more capital assets.
Yeah.
You might just say, I'm just going to put it in some investment vehicles just to let the money work for itself.
Right.
But once again, that's part of your strategic plan. Is like, what are you going to do once you do make this profit, this net profit? What are you going to do with it? And that part of your strategic plans would say, because you should always be trying to grow your business.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're going to always be taking a portion of it, if not all of it at times, and investing back in the business to assets that's going to produce more revenue.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because, man, I probably won't get to any of these questions, but
we can always do a part 2.
Because, and you actually answered a few of them already. I think because obviously we live in the social media world, right? And everybody is, you know, starting a business, launching a business, you know, all these different things. One of the things that kind of gets to me is everybody wants to, or I shouldn't say everybody, a large majority of people out there want to paint the picture of all of their dreams come true. Right? Get this dream car, get this, you know, these are all things that I tell people, like, you can get that working a job, right?
Okay.
Like I know people who are very successful at what they do that do very well and they drive and they live in their dreams, right? However, if this is, to your point about goals, if these are the only goals that you have, I don't think you're building a sustainable business. Talk about some of the common mistakes that people make when they start focusing on the wrong thing when it comes to business, such as these items that, you know, people tend to go after.
But if you notice what I just said previously, you want to invest in revenue generating assets.
Right.
Your dream car, like, you know I like cars too.
Yeah.
You like cars.
Right.
But, you know, you can even strategize to where you get to a point where you get your dream car, but that shouldn't infringe upon you growing your business.
Right.
It shouldn't be commingled.
Yeah.
Your goal shouldn't be, I want to make $1 million by next year so I can go get a Ferrari.
Right.
No. I always tell people, if you're trying to get a Ferrari, your net worth should probably be somewhere between 10, 20 million before you think about it, because then at that point, a Ferrari is just...
It's just a Honda.
Yeah.
To the point of
to your
cost.
bank account,
Right.
it's not going to be nothing to you.
Yeah.
But to your point, and it's funny that you even brought up the social media because it's a good example of I'm seeing people who didn't strategically plan
Right.
because I'm a social media junkie at times because
Right.
I just like to see what people are doing. So now a lot of the social media people that blew up during COVID over the last 4 or 5 years,
Right.
they're going broke.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because they didn't plan.
Yeah.
Right.
There was this one female who literally was saying, I was making $350,000 a month at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, because TikTok changed their whole pay structure to
Right.
where a video with 1 million views may net you $300.
Right.
While in the past, it might have tens of thousands of dollars
Right,
or
yeah.
more.
Yeah.
So, but she's like, yeah, I'm struggling now. And it's like, well, if you think about it,
Yeah.
if someone was making upwards to $350,000 a month,
Right.
Yeah.
and you're doing TikTok, so I know that does come with costs.
Right.
But it's not,
But it
you're not doing it in a storefront unless you
Right.
do have a studio that you're doing it in,
Right.
which once again, you should be counting the cost.
Right.
Right.
If you're making $350,000 a month, you didn't tell me how much you were spending.
Right.
But clearly you were spending a lot
Right.
because
Right.
you're saying you're broke now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's again because they're just trying to beg for money either, but
Right.
I think a
Yeah.
lot of it is on both sides.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
How much
because there's a
I make
whole
every-
hashtag thing called hashtag big talk now.
Right. Right.
That's
Okay.
another conversation.
Right.
So let's just say a story is true.
Right. Right.
That is a clear example of someone who did not plan properly
Right.
because that's literally your 5-year window.
Yeah.
She probably started blowing up in 2021. Within 2026 now, she's broke.
Right.
Your 5-year plan should literally have you, if you're making $350,000 a month,
Yeah.
your 5-year plan should have you growing now. You should
Right.
have been expanding somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you were just putting it, even if you was just investing it or putting
Right.
some of it in a
Yeah.
trust,
Right.
it should be growing. But once again, strategic plan would have said, yeah, I could even go get my dream car.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, my dream car might cost $300,000, but if I'm making $350 per month, I'm taking a good portion of this and
Right.
putting in some investment vehicle
Right.
or in a trust and just let it sit and grow so I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
They didn't plan properly because, to your point, their goal wasn't growing a business so I can be successful
Right.
and maybe have something to pass on to the next generation.
Right.
Their goal was make money so I can spend money today.
Yeah.
And I think
I was
gonna say, I think
exactly
that's,
it.
That's the danger, right? Just in any type of business, not just content creation, right? Where if the goal is just to make money or just to capitalize on a current trend or fad, but you're not really building a business sustainable, right? Because if you're talking about strategic planning, right? And let's say the typical, let's say, advice, you may think different, is a 2 to 3 year plan, right? Let's say if that was the case. But also, you mentioned SWOT. You're also taking into account what's happening in the external environment. So if I'm building a business, in this case on TikTok or any, let's say, social media platform, you got to know these companies, again, if you just look at history, they always change the algorithm, right? So because I made $350 this month, is it guaranteed that a year from now, if I'm doing the exact same thing, I can still make that the same amount of money? Or what is my plan? What is my strategy to grow beyond just content creation and other things? So talk about this in the aspect of strategic planning, different aspects that should be taken into an account when someone is looking out 2 or 3 years. Because again, we all get comfortable.
Yeah.
It's good right now. But not thinking, 3 years from now, it's going to be completely changed. But what we be thinking if we're putting a strategic plan together, because it's not just for today, right? It's also for future years. Of course, none of us can predict the future, but we also should be looking ahead. So how do you help people think about their strategic plan in that way?
Well,
Also,
the 2 words you can think of is attainable and monitoring.
okay,
When you building out your plan and your goals and your forecasts and your
Yeah.
projections, is it truly attainable?
Right.
You're trying to forecast something that you can see is attainable.
Right.
And then to your point, you got to be monitoring it literally on
Yeah.
a monthly basis because things can change.
Yeah.
Right.
Like when TikTok just said all of a sudden, we're changing our AdSense and what we're going to pay you.
Right.
Now, to your point, they should have already kind of been building in something in a strategic plan and say, how long is this level sustainable
Yeah.
Right.
that's out of my control?
Yeah.
exactly.
It's out of
That's
your
the point,
control.
out of their control.
You
Yeah.
can't control how much TikTok is going to choose to pay you. See, a lot of them just thought the faucet was just going to be running forever.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you strategic planning, first of all, you did analysis because we have enough data for social media now
Yeah.
to look back and say, what is like the lifespan of AdSense, advertising
Right.
payments, endorsement? Even if you got endorsement deals or whatever, you know the term of that endorsement deal.
Right.
Right.
Do you think you're going to be able to renew it? you got a plan that this may not be renewed.
Right.
What's going to be your strategy
Yeah.
to start bringing in more endorsements? Do you want your whole business model to be based on endorsement? Because
Right.
you might need to diversify. It can't just be all endorsements because
Yeah.
everyone can just decide that we're struggling as
Right,
companies are doing now. We're pulling back all these ad spaces
Right.
on there because we need to be strategically shifting
Right.
out because they're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's a good point, because as you was asking that question, and you really touched on it really well, because in any business, right, if I got one, behemoth of a client, and I'm like, well, cool, man, I got this big client, I'm just sit back, I'll just keep on coasting.
Right.
But somebody else comes along and grabs that client from you, and now your whole business was built on that one client. That's not the fault of the client.
No.
That's the fault of the business owner.
Right.
So even whether we're talking about social media, when we start looking at strategic planning in terms of building clients, right, and looking at how you're going to acquire this business, because some people just go after, man, if I can just get this, this, and this, then I can, do this. What you said about monitoring, how do you suggest that when monitoring particular growth, right, what are some things that they should look for over the historical, I guess the history of their business, right, in terms of saying, okay, in year one, I did this, and this is how I did it. In year two, this is how I did it. And what I'm talking about is kind of like the activity part, right? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, because you always want to do like a analysis because every business does it. I mean, I work at companies where you do a monthly analysis all the time.
Yeah.
And they're constantly reviewing it. It's like, all right, why is revenue down by 1% month over month or quarter over quarter?
Yeah.
So now you're going to go do your analysis and find out what's down.
Yeah.
And you find out what it is and it's like, all right, so what do we do about this?
Yeah.
Like, it might be a pricing issue where the price, once again, your input went up.
Right.
It's eating away at your revenue.
Yeah.
Or you had to strategically price your products at a different price because of competition. I'll give you a prime example, Toys R Us. I worked there and I was there at the end.
Okay. Right.
And Amazon basically killed them.
Yeah.
But part of it was, what also killed them is they was putting more money into brick and mortar.
Right.
But other people were strategically shifting to
online.
e-commerce.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I got the sentiment because they always said, when I was in the 80s and I was a Toys R Us kid.
Right, yeah.
That was a fun environment.
Love going in there.
You got a good
Right,
grade,
right.
they take you to Toys R
Yeah.
Us, and you go to McDonald's and get your Happy Meal.
Exactly,
That was the perfect day.
Exactly, right.
So they was trying to bring back
Closest
that
I got to
experience.
Toys R Us was the catalog.
Nostalgia, right.
But their focus was bring back this experience.
Yeah.
When the market was telling them,
Right.
That's not the way.
Amazon is shipping things one day in one day.
Right.
And Amazon is telling people, you don't gotta leave your house. You can order, we'll ship it to you next day or 2 days from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like convenience versus experience.
Yeah.
The kids may love the experience, but we're talking about the
parents.
people who's actually paying.
Exactly.
And their mindset
right.
is the kid don't care about the experience. As long as they get this PlayStation,
right.
that's the experience they're looking for.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how the difference in you see where kind of monitoring the market to also dictate to what shifts you need to make in your business. But if you're not doing none of that monitoring, or if you just tunnel vision, like we're gonna do this, I don't care what's going on in the market.
Right.
It can hurt you.
Yeah.
And it kind of hurt Toys R Us because Amazon, Target, Walmart, all of them swooped in.
Right.
They was because it's not like Toys R Us had their own product. They was buying from merchandisers just like the rest of them.
Yeah.
They can offer it at a lower price because they were selling other stuff to eat up that lower profit margin.
Yeah.
Toys R Us didn't have that luxury.
Right. So they have
So-
toys. Yeah. Right.
So that was what kind of
Yeah.
hit them hard.
Man, all right, we got to wrap up. So we're going to do a part 2
definitely.
of this one because this is good. And so we're going to kind of close on this one. And this is my last question. For businesses looking to grow, how can their strategic planning and financial forecasting reduce risk and position them for scale and sustainability?
I think that's when you have the SWOT model.
Yeah.
You look at what you're doing right,
Yeah.
what you can improve. Then you got to look at the market because the opportunities and threats is external.
Yeah.
The strength and weaknesses are internal.
Yeah.
So you have that two-phase process. You look at what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses that you can improve on.
Yeah.
Then you look at what are those opportunities in the market that you might not even have touched yet.
You're right.
And then you also look at the threats of what can threaten what you're good at now that can possibly take away from your current profit margin, or even threaten you from going out and grabbing up more market share because the opportunities are there.
Yeah.
So you have to have that mindset internally. What am I getting right? What can I do better?
Yeah.
Externally, what are the opportunities out there that I can go seize? And what are the pitfalls that can come about that can infringe upon what I'm currently doing and what I may be potentially doing in the future?
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Well, that's the last question I had. I mean, I got plenty more, but we'll have to pick it up on the next.
We'll allow you to close out with this. You mentioned earlier just about people needing to, as business is growing, how much to reinvest back into the business. A lot of entrepreneurs, they forego even paying themselves at all, right, for a long time. And so now they're struggling while they're trying to grow the business. So just what's your recommendation as you kind of give some final thoughts? Is there a percentage that somebody should be looking at in terms of what you invest back into the business? How do you help people think through that process? Because you want the business to keep growing while they're still, trying to maintain their life.
Yeah, I mean, because that's when you look at your personal finances compared to the business finances. And it's really more so, what do you need to live that you can find suitable for you to live while you're still trying to grow? Because to your point, you don't want to be struggling while you're trying to grow, because then that may infringe upon your ability to even grow the business. So you got to find what's that balance between growing the business and just your lifestyle, because yes, you did get into this to make money too. So you have to be cognizant of, all right, what is this place? I don't know if there's really a baseline percentage you can say. It's really more so, what's your lifestyle? Because there's some people who live like a really low-key lifestyle where they can live off a minimum balance, so they can plug everything to the business. There's other people who've already going into business with a lifestyle where they can't live on a minimum. You might have a family. You might have expenses that the business need to cover as well through paying you out. So you got to find that balance of, what can I do so that I don't hurt my personal lifestyle to where I can still focus on growing a business the way I would want the business to grow. And sometimes it might be slow growth because you're not there yet to be able to say, I can just jump.
Pour a lot of it.
One last example before we go. The slutty vegan woman. She grew her personal lifestyle faster than what her bottom line was growing with the business, and then that hurt her. From what I can surmise, because I saw someone go over her bankruptcy filing, so everything I saw, and I was like, her personal finances started growing faster than what her business was growing. But she was trying to scale the business faster than what I guess she could handle as well. So it was, that's why I said your strategic planning should find that balance to where you can handle both aspects and neither of them fall apart.
And I think, I don't know a lot about that story, but I just know in general, a lot of times the noise around your business can push you to go a certain direction, when you're not ready. And I think that could be a problem sometimes with reading the press clippings of success. But then the other side of it is moving too slow, I think, and my personal experience is knowing when to do certain things, because my background comes out of the streaming world. When COVID happened, I mean, you start seeing deals that were, they weren't happening 2 years before COVID, And when I started seeing them, I was going, we need to be in this side of it, but I didn't have partners who had the foresight to see the direction of where that technology was going at that point. And sometimes you could be too married to it, to where you miss the opportunity to say, man, we can sell this, and I think that's another part of scaling, You have to understand why you are scaling your business, Are you scaling it because potentially you want to sell it? And I think we'll talk about that on the next episode of The Profit Formula.